Hi, this is Frank Taylor with Nature at Your Door. This is another on-the-road episode with Nature at Your Door. My home base is in Southwest Virginia in the Appalachian Mountains, where I've brought to you hundreds of videos about all kinds of things nature. Today I'm in Milano, Switzerland. Milano is in the canton of Ticino, which is an unusual Mediterranean climate-influenced canton of Switzerland, right on the Italian border in the Lake District. Check out my playlist for several episodes I've done from here. The city of Milano here is very interesting, and I say city, I really should say town. It has a population of maybe a few hundred. One of the interesting things about this town that relates back to Nature at Your Door is in the 1840s and 1850s, this was a hub of the silk industry. There was a silk mill produced here that would take cocoons from silk moth caterpillars and process them into silk and ship them and produce them to nearby Como, which was known as the silk capital of the world for quite some time. So everybody here in their homes, in their backyards, in their kitchens, in their bedrooms, they had silkworms laid out on mulberry leaves that were eating the leaves and then turning into cocoons. And once they turned into cocoons, the cocoons were collected and everybody was engaged in it here. But the topic of today's episode is an amazing waterfall that comes out of the Monte Generoso Massif in behind Milano here. We're almost here at practically at sea level, and the Monte Generoso Massif rises up over a mile to 5,800 feet, almost vertically. In this terrain, there's lots of caves. This area was an area of limestone that was uplifted from a marine area years ago. And in fact, the mountain across the way, Monte Generoso, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site known for its marine fossils. And check out my Monte Generoso episode. So today we're going to go to see an amazing waterfall that is produced by amazing geology. The source is called the Buco de Sovaglia, or the hole or the mouth of the Sovaglia. And the Sovaglia is the stream that this waterfall comes from. And all the water from this waterfall comes out of a single hole in the rock. Inside, back in the 80s, there was a severe drought, and the Swiss Speleological Society was able to enter the cave and map it. Farther back, there's two lakes that feed into this. So this waterfall periodically stops as the water eventually drains out of those two lakes and it levels out. And then when there's a lot of rain and moisture percolating into these cave systems, that waterfall is just absolutely powerful. Stay tuned for my walk up to the Cascata del Botto, the Botto waterfall, and its unique source inside the geology of the massif of the Monte Generoso. Right here in your backyard. You never know what you're going to find.
So this walk actually starts at the house that my great-grandfather built in 1905 in the village of Maroggia. And here we walk down past typical Ticino scenery that includes these vineyards. And we're at about 600 feet above sea level, right at lake level. From here we can actually see the waterfall in the distance, and we cross over the outlet that enters into the lake. As we enter into the village or municipality of Milano, we're greeted with these amazing signposting. This is typical throughout Ticino, where they've put up these beautiful informative signs in several languages with great pictures that describe the history and geography of the area. Another thing I absolutely love about Switzerland is not only are there trails everywhere, but the trails are all well marked and well designated and tells you how to get to every place, and it's not by distance, which is meaningless when you have super steep trails, but they're marked by time. We quickly gain an elevation as we walk up through the village and soon enter the forest and leave behind our views of Lake Lugano. This part of the forest is almost exclusively chestnut trees. These chestnut trees were actually introduced back in Roman times as nut orchards that were cultivated by citizens of Ticino. These are really beautiful, well-maintained trails that fall steeply on the sides of this very steep mountain. There's a lot of beech and birch through here, and also a lot of loose falling rocks, as these mountains are in a very decided uplift zone right now. Before we knew it, we could hear the waterfall in the distance, and suddenly we were there. The force of the water, the size of the waterfall, the power that was coming down from that mountain was absolutely breathtaking and just staggering to comprehend. So all this water is coming out of a hole in the rock, a short distance above where the point where the water actually begins to fall. And this water comes out of these two subterranean underground lakes that were hidden in caves deep in the mountain. It was just fabulous to see the power and the force of this water, and pretty fun to walk across this bridge and be so close to this and observe nature at its absolute grandest. Soon we left the waterfall behind and we made our way up the trail, up the mountain to the mountain village of Rovia, an absolutely charming little medieval period village, and of course with the requisite signs that gave you opportunities to hike to so many different places and so many other peaks. I just love walking through these old cobblestone streets, which are actually two-way roads through the town. And when cars come, it's always an interesting experience. But everything just here seems so medieval. These homes are hundreds of years old, and there's hardly anything that has changed. And you can hear people talking, and the smells of making delicious Swiss Italian foods permeate the air. It's something you really have to experience. It's just such a peaceful feeling walking through here. One of my favorite things to see in this village, and something I just quite can't get over myself, is the discovery of these Roman sarcophagi that date back to 400 or 500 years AD, where the Romans were buried in these things. These were essentially the coffins or caskets that held the dead Roman citizen. And now they're used as drinking troughs and have been for probably well over 200 years. It's just a fascinating way history and time has changed.
So I'm going to close this episode of Nature at Your Door with some footage of Rovio, Milano, and the waterfall from the sky. And I want to thank Omar Agustoni, who's an award-winning documentary filmmaker and archaeologist, and apparently a really great drone pilot as well, for the footage that he graciously shared with me. So this has been Frank Taylor with Nature at Your Door. Thanks for watching my channel, and remember, I cover all things nature. If you like what I do, please subscribe to my channel, give me a like, and leave me a comment. I love hearing from my viewers. Thanks again for watching this episode of Nature at Your Door.